Oh no, you're muted
How?
now. You're muted.
How?
All right, let's start again.
Well, welcome,
Welcome to
ladies
the
and
Five
gentlemen.
Reasons pregame show. We are trying to get Ethan back, and now he's frozen. Of course. So, welcome, guys.
That's
This is
incredible.
the Miami Heat versus Brooklyn Nets pregame show. So, I mean, it is what it is. This is the crew we have today. So, half of Ethan, he's frozen right now. We have Sean Richardson, who is going to be there at the arena. Hopefully, we can get to him too. Tony's going to be coming by here in a second as well. But here, right now, we have Ricky, Mark, and our friend Brady Hawk. So, guys, fourth game of the season, second one away. So, how do you guys feel about this particular matchup? But let's start with Ricky.
I think we are in a much better position this season than we were last season. I know this might sound like a tired talking point given the circumstances, but right now, Miami, if I'm not mistaken, Brady, you can correct me if I'm wrong, of course. Kyle Lowry should be in the lineup tonight, and that will
Yeah.
make, I believe that'll make a big difference in how this team will be pushing the tempo. I think the Brooklyn Nets are who they are. James Harden is struggling. We don't want today to be the day in which he's able to overcome these sorts of rotational or offensive issues. Maybe he'll actually have to learn how to play on offense without drawing fouls. I think Miami's in good position to win tonight. The Brooklyn Nets are a formidable opponent because they have one of the greatest players of all time in Kevin Durant, and then you have James Harden. But look, I think he will be good for anywhere between 25 and 35 points a game. But at the end of the day, Miami as a collective should be more than enough to beat this team, whether it's close or whether it's a blowout.
Apologize for that. My computer literally just blew up
Mhm.
while it was there. It just
Mhm.
restarted itself. I don't know what it is.
Sure.
I had to move to my phone. Ricky, thanks for handling. We appreciate it. We got Ricky in the middle. We got Brady. We've got Tony Schwartz joining us, and of course we've got Alejandro Villegas. I'm just going to recycle here a little bit. Just tell you about the sponsors before we get started. Of course, Biscayne Bay Brewing, the official beer. Nothing flusters me. The official beer of the Five Reasons Sports Network and of the Miami Marlins. So make sure you get yourself a Biscayne Bay Brew. Ask for it by name if you happen to be at a restaurant or if you're at a Publix or something along those lines. Make sure you ask for it. Actually, the IPA was the best seller. I believe it was at Whole Foods for like an entire month. Okay, the Tropical Bay IPA. Okay, so this is popular stuff. That's actually my favorite of all of them, but you can try all of the others there, including the Marlins Lager, the Pastime Pilsner, and more. So check out Biscayne Bay Brewing. And then our friend Mark Brown. Find him at markbrownpa.com. That's marcbrownpa.com. This is where you go if you need estate planning and you want to talk some sports and some Dolphins and some Heat and your Hurricanes while you're doing. He's a big Miami sports fan. But also, he can handle all your real estate needs as well. Once you sort of decide what property you're selling or you're buying, he's the guy to go to make sure that the closing goes smoothly. I can tell you that I used him for 2 closings. I used their office in one of the 2. The other office was completely incompetent. And yet we still were able to get the deal done because Mark and his crew did such a great job. So reach out to markbrownpa.com. I hope he doesn't mind me saying that. marcbrownpa.com, based right there in North Lauderdale, just north of Cypress, off of Andrews, close to where, if you're familiar with that area, close to where the Hooters is. All right, let's get to it tonight. Again, I mentioned it. Well, it's the only restaurant that's still there. Everything else
They're
is
not
closed
paying
down.
though. You don't have to mention them.
I understand that, but it is a landmark. It's like one of the few landmarks in North Lauderdale. I didn't know.
All right. Fair
Pinecrest, where
enough.
I went to high school.
The
and
Hooters?
where Brandon Knight
You've
went
been
to
to
high
It's an
school.
Miami?
institution, Ricky.
Well,
It's an institution.
I'm just saying, it's
Miami is a Hooters. What are you talking about?
Well, that's a good point. It's down the street from Pinecrest, where I went to high school, as did Brandon Knight. Although, I may see him at Heat Games soon. Anyway, let's get to it. I know Ricky was mentioned.
You went to high school here? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, Pinecrest, down the street.
Where'd you grow up?
What is this? This is a bio session?
You went that way.
I just threw one thing out. All right, let's get to it. I know Ricky started here. Brady, let's get to you on sort of what's happening tonight. We know, obviously, Kyrie is out indefinitely. We're expecting Lowry to play tonight. But otherwise, it looks pretty much like we're going to see a similar rotation to what we saw the other night from Miami in their win against Orlando.
Yeah, I'd expect the same thing. I think the interesting thing is what's going to be happening on the other side of things. Like the starting lineup, I think, is going to be unexpected for Brooklyn. If you look at last game, they started Blake at the 5, which I think would actually be really beneficial for Miami just defensively. They could be able to switch everything in an even different way where you're going to see Bam on guards probably even more, and you're not being phased on the backside most of the time. But if they do stay big and they play Claxton and they go that route, then it's going to be a little different. I don't know. I think Jimmy would probably be on Harden. I think they may switch off. Maybe Lowry and Butler will take kind of the mixture of that assignment. But I feel like they have a really good chance against this roster when looking at it on paper in terms of the matchups. Like, you look at last year compared to now, like, you feel a lot better with this Brooklyn matchup. Obviously, Kyrie Irving changes things, but looking at it right now, you feel better either way with this roster with Miami. PJ Tucker being able to probably start off on KD, leaves Bam being that weak side guy, Jimmy probably being that weak side guy. Kyle takes the Harden assignment, and that's kind of what you want. And that's why I think even if Miami should be able to score against this Brooklyn team, but this could be one of those games that is unexpectedly kind of low in scoring, like that Indiana game was.
Tony, what this schedule that the Heat are looking at now, which we've harped on 5 and the Floor and other places, there are not a lot of soft games in the schedule, this one included. I mean, even without Kyrie. The significance, I mean, winning against Orlando, I mean, it's really kind of a G League team that they're putting out there with a couple of good prospects. I mean, the Heat were supposed to do what they did the other night. But the significance of getting a win in Brooklyn to start the season, when Kyrie or no Kyrie, the Nets are supposed to be a top 2 or 3 team in the conference.
Yeah, listen to me. It's huge. I don't really care who's playing for this Nets team or not. You start placing your foot in where you're going to be in conference standings right now on tough stretches like this. And we talked about Nick Claxton starting at 5 or Blake Griffin started in 5. It really doesn't matter. They have an interior defense problem like nothing else. This is a game you got to go in there and take. They gave up 22 shots at the rim against Philly. They gave up 25 at the rim against Milwaukee. And 6 of those shots in Philly were from guards. From Maxey and Curry. There's no reason that we can't go in there with Lowry. Tobias Harris had a great game against the Nets. Jimmy will play that same kind of role to fill. We got to take this one. I don't care if they're at home. They're just a team that's very beatable right now. I don't know if they're going to stay that way all season. You got to start stamping your foot into the conference now, especially if you're going for that 1 seed.
Yeah, no doubt. And we saw, too, that a couple of the other teams we expected to be good. Philadelphia obviously dealing with the Simmons situation and got blown out by the Knicks. There's a little bit of momentum for some of these teams that maybe weren't projected to be top 3 right now, Ricky. I mean, I know your Knicks are, they've had some moments here to start the season. Got to give them some credit. I have expected them to slip back, but the energy in the building's been good, and they fed off of it.
They will.
And well, maybe. And look, Randall has kind of gone back to being the Randall of last season instead of the Randall of last playoffs, which is positive. Charlotte looks good. I can't say I'm particularly surprised by that one. I liked them before the year as a sort of a surprise team in the East. And I still think Toronto is going to be more competitive than people think. So I don't necessarily think it's foregone conclusion. Milwaukee, Brooklyn, maybe Miami, Philadelphia, Atlanta. I do think there are other teams that could sneak up there. But Tony's point is a good one in the sense that this might matter down the road. Like if Kyrie doesn't come back, if Kyrie doesn't decide to get the shot until, say, February, and then the Heat are in a race with them for a 2 seed or something like that to play a play-in team, that will matter, right?
Well, yeah, I think, honestly, I mean, I think I kind of spoke about this a little bit on Dono yesterday. I think Kyrie ends up getting traded at some point this season. And I think he ends up getting traded before Ben Simmons does. Now, that's a whole nother conversation altogether. But, yeah, I agree. At this point, every game counts. This is going to be a tight Eastern Conference playoff race because the Eastern Conference is tougher this year. We haven't had to worry about the Chicago Bulls since, 2015? Seriously, like in earnest?
And Ricky, we saw that Indiana, even though they have some holes, is going to be much better coached this year. So even and they already got Miami once. How many? Even Cleveland, there's some talent there. I'm not expecting them to do much, but really, the only team in the Eastern teams in the Eastern Conference that you walk in and you're like, okay, gimme, would be Detroit and Orlando, right? Is another one that comes up? Yeah.
Not off I'm sure one will pop up later, but look, I think Cleveland, once you realize how much better you are than they are, yes, they'll be that team too. But for now, look, it's for me, maybe it's Cleveland, Orlando, Detroit. They're going to have a lot of things they need to work out. But I think this needs to be a lesson for the Heat fans, just teams in general. The Eastern Conference is no longer a night off. You're going to have to bring your lunch every single night. And I think this is a good thing for Miami because you've already got a team of veterans and you're going to be battle tested by the time you come to the playoffs. If you couldn't handle the Heat No pun intended. I apologize. I am so sorry. If you couldn't handle the heat in the Eastern Conference thus far, once the playoffs come, you'll be an easy out. And regardless of where the Nets end up in terms of seeding, they'll be a tough out because once James Harden, rounds back into shape, once KD gets his feet under him, then they're going to be tough in the first round, regardless of who they play. Now, I'll just finish with this. I mean, I'm not the sources guy. I'm a sauces guy, but I'm not convinced that Kevin Love is going to finish the season in a Cavs jersey, and that could end up making an Eastern Conference team a lot better down the line. I mean, I know Chicago wouldn't mind a power forward of his caliber.
Brady, when you look at, and now that you were down there the other night and listened to the players, it strikes me that the Heat believe if they can get their game right, that they are capable of competing with everybody. So as much as we're talking about any of these other teams, I do get the sense from them that they feel it's about them, particularly their top 3 or 4 guys. That if they can find a game, and we talked on 5 on the Floor about the balance, right? About finding that balance between, okay, the nights that Jimmy has it, you let Jimmy go. Okay, the nights that Tyler has it, maybe everybody else got to pull back a little bit. But I do get the sense, and I didn't get this sense last season, that they feel they have enough. I didn't feel like last year they believed that.
Yeah, I feel like they always kind of had that mindset, or at least they act as if they have had that mindset in recent years. But I feel like the only difference is that now they have a theme. Even looking back to the bubble year, they got to the finals, but they didn't have a theme. Like, they had guys, different ages, different skill sets. They had some offensive weapons. They had some defensive weapons. You know what this team is now. Like, this is a defensive team as we're looking at on paper at this roster. If you're looking at games throughout these first 3 games, like, this is good, like a team that is not afraid to play in the mud every night. Like, they have guys like Kyle Lowry who's going to push pace. It's going to look pretty with the lobs and the dunks, but they want to kind of be gritty on the defensive end, and that's their theme, and that's the way they're going to go about things. And hearing Spo kind of talk about, this is basically his like home base as a team. Like, he can throw out so many different things and have fun basically in scheming out a team and going about things so differently. So I think that's where the confidence comes from. Even though they've always had a certain level of confidence, it just seems like they're just comfortable in this type of theme and in this type of role.
This comes from Darius. We always read the comments that come in on the super chat, so we appreciate it. The Bulls beat Kelly Olynyk twice. Stop. Hey, no shots at Kelly. Okay,
confidence builders are important too.
Yeah, no shots at Kelly. Tony, statistically, I know you're talking about some of the issues the Nets have had, and I know their interior defense, I think, is going to be a big concern the entire year. I mean, it's not something you want to put on Durant as much, but if you look at the Heat right now, is there anything statistically or any other way that jumps out to you that would either be concerning or encouraging, or is there something for that? And I know the second game is sort of an outlier because Lowry didn't play, but is there anything that jumps out to you?
You better be encouraged. I mean, you're talking about a team with the number one net defense in the league and 13 net offense, and still overall net rated best, right? We don't have a single shooter on this team that averages over 1-3 a game that's hitting above a 34% clip. So you're telling me I'm not going to be encouraged? Any of these shots start falling, this team starts to look like a world beater. I'm really starting to talk myself in the first seed in the East. I wasn't there when we started this season, but the way this defense is playing, we can challenge any team. Listen, basketball eras change. The way basketball is played stylistically changes. But if you have a team that can go out every night, win the rebounding battle, not turn the ball over, and get to the 3-throw line, you're going to have a consistent formula for success. And I think this team has it.
Yeah, these are all things they can do. Actually, the rebounding, Brady, on that has been a pleasant surprise so far. I think we thought they'd be better.
Yeah, the Heat are 4th in rebounds, by the way. That's something to note.
Yeah,
and they're a plus. They're a plus when it comes to assists in terms of hierarchy in the league. That's a benefit, Brady.
Yeah, I think Bam, the rebounding thing it starts with Bam. I think the upper body strength that he's talked about, putting on that muscle. After the shoulder injury in the finals, he's talked about that he wasn't able to kind of, in that short offseason, wasn't able to kind of work out in that sense. And that makes, a pretty big deal. You're seeing him specifically grab rebounds that I don't think he grabbed last season. Like seriously. And PJ Tucker obviously is another guy that adds that element. Last night or the other night, last game, he had 1 rebound. I don't think you're going to need most of those, many of those nights. You're going to need him at least in that stat category to kind of be there. And the other thing is Kyle Lowry. Like I feel like Miami's scheme is basically the point guard and shooting guard basically get back in transition after the ball comes off the rim. Kyle Lowry most of the time doesn't abide by that. Like he's flying at the rim. He's going to get in the mix. He's going to try to get an offensive rebound, kind of sneak around there that it's just going to jump those numbers up even more. So when you have all these elements of guys that are not just playing by the rules in a lot of ways, they're just going about it in the game of basketball, normal flow, then a lot of those type of things are going to change.
That's a good point about the rebounding. The big three teams, the way that they were constructed, they had rebounding problems at times, but for the most part, they were able to get by because their wings were such good rebounders. Because, even though, again, Chris was not an elite rebounder really, and then the bigs they put with him, Joel Anthony playing primary, but Dampier, Magloire, any of the Milgauskas, I mean, they were not mobile enough to be good rebounders at that stage. But they rebounded okay, mostly because LeBron and Dwayne took care of a lot of it. But you're right, this team, their wings, their perimeters, hero rebounds. Okay, I mean, even the night that he didn't have assists, he had 5 rebounds. Like he rebounds, he gets in there. You mentioned Lowry, but it's not just the amounts of rebounds they collect; they all box out. Now Tyler, that was a bit of an issue last year, but Kyle boxes his man. PJ boxes his man. That is going to be a big advantage because rebounding has really been an issue for them in some recent years, and it's not now. All right, let's go around tonight. I know, Ricky, you have some confidence in the Heat. I heard that when I was coming back. I apologize. I had a couple of calls going. But Tony, let's go to you on this. Again, it's still Kevin Durant, okay? I mean, we're still talking about, top 3 player in the league. He may not be 2 or 3, right? So you still have to deal with him. They got some bodies to run at him. This is the time to get them, excuse me. But overall, I mean, what else do they need to take away tonight?
They need to blitz Harden. I mean, look, KD leads this team on points, field goals attempted, VORP, all the stats nobody understands, win shares. Like he leads this team on everything. You know what Harden leads this team on? 3 points attempted, assists, and turnovers.
Yep.
Blitz him. Just blitz him all night. Make him run with the ball. See what happens. Kevin Durant's going to get Kevin Durant's. This team has nothing else right now. Nick Claxton's not it. I just blitz to Harden. That's it. That's my analysis right now. I don't think there's too much they can do. I think we're going to be rolling at the rim all night.
I like the Heat tonight. I do. There's some upcoming games I don't like them. I don't like them in Denver. I don't particularly like them in Utah. Either. Yeah, I'm not sure I like them in Dallas based on some of the history there. But I do like them here. The other thing about Brooklyn is even with all the fair weathers that have sort of jumped over from the Knicks fan base, there's always a lot of Heat fans in that crowd too. They do come for the Heat. Every time I was there was a significant contingent, more so maybe than any other building other than maybe Atlanta. Atlanta was one of those, in Washington. Orlando. It was always Brooklyn and Orlando. Yes, those three always. Brady, let's go to you on tonight. Biggest key.
Yeah, he touched on some of the defensive stuff. I think offensively, this should be a Bam game. Like, I'm not just saying that because of the history of, the game winner or the 40 points. Like, looking at the guys like LaMarcus Aldridge and these veteran bigs that are not going to stay with him whatsoever, like, he needs to probably lead this team in field goal attempts tonight. Like, if they're going to win by a decent margin and going to put up points, like, that's the way it's going to have to be. I don't think it's going to be with the mid-range jumper. I think it's going to have to be, free throw attempts and getting to the rim. And if he does that against those type of lineups that you have, they have so many holes, as you mentioned, interior defense. They have so many holes on that defensive end. You can take advantage of them. And that all starts with Bam. So if he kind of does that and it's not Lowry constantly putting him in that spot and it's him just getting some ISOs or just taking it and attacking off the dribble in transition, then I think they'll be in good shape. I think the Heat win.
I think they win. One thing I am a little bit concerned about tonight is Tyler pressing. And that's because we all know that he follows the social media stuff, and we all know there was a lot of that hero Harden conversation last year, which was bogus, but still, it's still a narrative that I'm sure has gotten back to him. I'm a little concerned about him pressing tonight. The one thing I want to see tonight, and I know you guys potted on this last night, I want to see Duncan Robinson make a significant contribution with what he's supposed to be doing, which is, can Duncan give him 3 or 4 threes tonight when they matter? Not at the end after it's a blowout, but when they matter. Let's get to this comment here. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read it, but it's a little bit. Can somebody else read that? Because I'm sorry.
I think Brooklyn is overrated. They're basically 2012 OKC. Sure, KD and Harden are somewhat better. Well, Harden's bigger than they were back then, but they're not world beaters.
I think that's fair. I mean, I think that's fair. There's no Russ on this team. Obviously, I guess Kyrie would be the closest thing to Russ. But I do think they're flawed. There's no question. The other thing we want to watch tonight, I guess this is round 4, Eric Reed versus Blake Griffin. What will be said tonight? There may be a little, and I know obviously he's had the health issues, so this may temper it a little bit. Heat were not thrilled with the way LaMarcus Aldridge handled the situation last year that our guy Greg Sylvander got in some hot water for, because he actually had things correct, but LaMarcus changed his mind. I'm a little bit curious to see if they have anything for LaMarcus tonight. But I like the Heat by 7 tonight. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think they win going away at the end, making some free throws. We'll have 5 on the floor for you after the game. Of course, on Post Up 5R with Royal.
Who do I like?
We'll be here. You already said, didn't you? When I was coming on, you were talking about it, weren't you? All right, tell us again. I
didn't make a prediction. I mean, I'm just
saying.
Again.
Time for some predictions. There you go, Ricky. You were first.
Time for some predictions. There, go ahead.
I like the number 7. I think the Heat win by 7, provided the Hero has a solid game.
Stop. That's all.
Provided the Heat have a Hero has a solid game, doesn't go overboard, and the Heat control the tempo, because Aldridge and Blake aren't going to be able to run up and down the floor for 48 minutes.
Some hit-ahead passes to Bam with Aldridge and Blake trailing. That's what you want to see tonight. Kyle's going to take care of a lot of those, I think. All right, follow our sponsors. Biscayne Bay Brewing, of course, markbrownpa.com if you need estate planning or you need your closing taken care of, because I'm wearing the T-shirt. You want to go to Prize Picks. I'm going to be posting my picks online here soon. Prize Picks, use the code 5, F-I-V-E. That's the code to use to get yourself a bonus. Apologize, I think my computer exploded. I'm going to go check on it. Thanks to Brady, Jonathan, Tony for joining us, and Ricky. I think Tony has Wally pipped Jonathan. We'll see if Jonathan makes it back here the next episode. And thanks to Alejandro, as always, for producing. He's got you from here.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining us here on the pregame show. Now let's review some of the press conferences in the meantime while we wait for the starting lineup by the Miami Heat tonight. Should be the same as last game, but we don't know. We're just waiting for the official confirmation of it. So let's go ahead and let's start with the press conferences from last game. Let's see what comes up first here in a second. Here we go. Let's see what this one is. And here we go. We have Kyle.
Coach said when you're there, Jimmy can focus more on being aggressive and sort of take care of matters, maybe with eyes a little more on the rim. We've seen also more offense from Bam when you're on the floor. How important is it to you to sort of free them so they can sort of be their best selves?
My job is to make everyone's job easier. I mean, I don't necessarily say they can focus on just scoring and all that. I feel like I just go out there and I do my job. My job is to try to make their jobs easier, put them into positions to be successful. And Jimmy was playing extremely aggressive and well today and made some shots. So did Bam. It was good. It was a good team win. It was fun.
Is this offense at its best when it's generating points, offense, defense? And as a point guard, how do you try to feed into that?
Say it one more time.
Is this offense at its best when it's generating points, offense, defense, like it did tonight? And as a point guard, how do you try to feed into that?
Just keep pushing. Don't have to wait. Just keep, try to keep the pace up, even with the dead ball turnover. Just try to keep the pace up. We got guys that are really good defensively, and one of the best rebounders in the game in Bam. We got opportunity. We got great shooters. So just kind of getting open looks for everybody. Just keeping the pace high, no matter what happens. Dead ball, turnover, rebound. Just continue to keep a steady pace.
I know it's always tough coming back from an ankle because that might be a little trepidation. Did you feel sort of like, okay, it was important to take Saturday off? And did you feel anything today with the ankle, or was it sort of back to 100% now?
I don't talk about injuries. I'm playing.
Kyle, Tyler didn't really come into the league as a guy who was going to have the ball in his hands a ton. And I know you just started playing with him, but what's your impression of his developing game as a secondary kind of playmaker, point guard?
I think he's better than what I, seen before and what I thought personally. He's playing extremely well. I think he has the ability to score, and I don't think he's not necessarily playmaking, but he made some great dimes tonight. But when he's looking to score, it makes it easier because all the attention is on him. So he's making it easier for his teammates to be open because he's looking to score. He's aggressive. He's looking for the shots and the passes, and the passes are coming open.
Actually, Coop kind of stole my question there, but I wanted to just follow on that a little bit. The key to making reads when you're getting that kind of attention, because obviously you've had that over the course of your career, particularly if you've had a couple good nights and a team's really focusing on you. What is it? Is it just sort of the patience to let the play come to you a little bit, to let the second defender come? What goes into that?
Just understanding where you're going to be on the floor and where your teammates are going to be, and we're in situations where we know, where guys are going to be on the floor, where the screens are coming from, where the pin downs, and where to be at in the right positions on the floor. He made a pass to Markeith tonight, and he knew what he was doing the whole time because he knew he had the attention on him. He was just waiting for the defense to come to him and then drop it off to Keith for a layup.
Speaking of Markeith, Kyle, I just want to know what you thought of his game tonight, and if you thought the chippiness in the first quarter kind of fueled what he did.
I think one thing about Markeith is we're going to need him. We're going to need him to make those, mid-range jump shots, play defense, grab rebounds, be a post presence. He has an ability to score the ball, and he's just going to continue to get better. As we all figure out each other, and as we play on the floor together, we'll figure out what each other can do.
All right, Kyle, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, that was Kyle Lowry after the win against the Orlando Magic a couple of nights ago. Tonight, the Miami Heat will be playing against the Brooklyn Nets here in about 30-some minutes. The game's going to start. Let's continue listening to some of the press conferences after that game. We don't have the starting lineup yet. Our friend Sean Richester, who's going to be at the arena tonight, said he's stuck trying to find parking. So that's what we have right now. We wanted to share a little bit with him from inside the arena. We'll see if we have time, if he can get to a parking spot and then get into the arena so we can actually get him here. So let's continue listening to some of these press conferences. Let's start now. Give me a second here. Let's go share. Wait. Video file. Here we go. Give me a second. Thank you guys for joining us here on the pregame show. And let's continue listening to some of the Miami Heat press conference after that win against the Orlando Magic. We're going next with Bam Adebayo.
Bam, a real theme has been throughout this short start to the season that Kyle makes everything easier. I mean, did it feel a load was lightened or lessened or maybe energized him here tonight, having not been there in Indy?
He's one of those players. He definitely has an impact on the game. So, yes, it feels different when
All right, guys. Sorry, we have some connection issues. We're trying to get back here. Some problems with the internet. We're back here on the computer, so let me mute myself here. And here we go. All right. You're gonna see me twice. Don't mind me. All right. We're gonna remove it here. And here we go. Let's continue now with the next video that we're gonna share. It's Bam Adebayo in the press conference right after the game against the Orlando Magic.
Bam, a real theme has been throughout this short start to the season that Kyle makes everything easier. I mean, did it feel a load was lightened or lessened or maybe energized him here tonight, having not been there in Indy?
he's one of those players. He definitely has an impact on the game. So, yes, it feels different when Kyle is on the court. He's an incredible player. He's really smart. and how he just thinks the game is really incredible.
Bam, you guys seem to play a lot slower without Kyle a couple nights ago. How much of what Kyle does and his impact is this the pace he plays at?
He really pushes the pace. We've said this all before, and you can also see it. He's one of those dudes. He doesn't care about turnovers. All he's trying to do is pitch the ball ahead and get guys easy buckets.
And we mentioned plenty of times about the kennel. How much did you like the chippiness from Markeith and from Dwayne in the first quarter? Really, to kind of get the everything going.
When we have situations like that, I feel like that's what gets everybody fired up. And not saying, we want to brawl, but it's good to have that edge. It's good to have that dog mentality on the court. I feel like that brings life out of a lot of us. Just to be able to compete and really get after it.
Speaking of Markeith, the boost he can give you, and from where he gives it to you in that sort of mid-post area, mid-range area, it sort of seems to round out your offense to a degree also. What's it like when you can have Duncan operating at the three, you now operating, you're playing much closer to the basket, and also now have that nice sort of, with Jimmy, to balance Jimmy, that mid-range element from Keith?
I call him Megatron. At first, he didn't understand why I would call him Megatron, but now he understands it. He's one of those guys you can throw it to in the mid post and expect to get a basket, and he can make plays. That's the one thing I call it. If you ever need 5 seconds or less and you need a shot off and Keith is on the court, you can always throw it to Keith. So that's why I call him Megatron.
And there were a couple times tonight where in the middle of a run, especially in that third quarter, Tyler was like literally jumping up and down because he seemed so excited to get the ball back and keep pushing. No, you can't get in his head, but you've been with him for a couple of years now. Does he seem just like he's having more fun, he's more comfortable, everything's coming easier now?
I mean, yeah, we're definitely having more fun than last year. But you can tell how that switch has clicked for him. He had 9 assists tonight. You can tell that switch is switch for him. It's his third year. He's making that growth. He's making that next step. And, he can do it at all 3 levels. And he can also pass. So, I'm proud of the young fella. I feel like he's gonna be great.
You talked about playing with Markeith. Now you've gotten a chance to play with PJ and Markeith over the course of time. How different is your role, either offensively or defensively, when you're out there with either of them? Is it very different?
Nah, my job don't change. And their job doesn't change. We feed off of each other. So that's the biggest thing for me. We feed off each other. That's why I like our team. We're cohesive. We're able to adapt to, we got to switch somebody out of the first unit to the second unit or the second unit to the first unit. And with Keith and PJ, they're both active participants in, trying to get guys shot, making an open shot, communicating on defense, having that dog mentality. So it's not really different with both of them being on the court.
All right, that's it. Thank you, Bam.
All right, that was Bam Adebayo. Thank you very much, Bam, for sharing with us. That was after the Orlando Magic Miami Heat game a couple of nights ago. So we have the starting lineup. No surprises. The same 5 guys, the same 5 on the floor that we were expecting. So we're going to have Bam Adebayo, who we just heard from. We're going to have PJ Tucker, Duncan Robinson, Kyle Lowry, and Jimmy Butler. So Bam Adebayo, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, PJ Tucker, and Kyle Lowry. That's going to be the starting 5 for the Miami Heat tonight against the Brooklyn Nets at Brooklyn. So let's continue listening, and let's go now with a present one. Let's go with Eric Spoelstra. This is from today, what he said about this particular matchup against the Brooklyn Nets.
How we doing, Coach? We'll start with some pretty good. We'll start with some Zoom questions. Ira Winderman, go ahead.
Eric, usually when you play a James Harden, you're always telling your guys, don't reach, don't get your hands sort of in the cookie jar. Does the rules changes maybe change the way you defend players like that now amid the league's crackdowns? In other words, are there maybe a little different way you might defend a Harden or a Trey or someone like that, knowing that the league sort of has a different view on those kind of fouls?
No, I wouldn't jump to that conclusion yet. I just think that would be really dangerous to go in there trying to change how you're defending a player like Harden, who's so savvy. His skill level is incredible, and if you have your hands there and you have horrible technique and you're not paying attention to that, I don't care what the rules say. I don't think that's a good strategy.
Thank you.
All right, up next we have Cooper Moorhead, Heat.com. Go ahead.
Yes, well, it can be kind of hard to tell because he never has the ball in his hands for very long. But with Duncan and the changes to the overall offense, how much of an adjustment has this been for him as far as where and when he's going to be getting the ball?
I don't think it's been that big of an adjustment. He still affects your offense in a really positive way, regardless of whether ball's going in, whether the ball's coming to him, whether we're running, specific actions, for him. I thought he was really good the other night. He had 3 of his threes taken away from him from foul calls, screening calls. You just count those, and his night would have been, really good. But he just continues to do what he does. His game is evolving. It's improving, and he's generating a lot of overreactions, one way or another for us that are very helpful.
Thank you.
All right, Michael, you have some in-person questions there?
Good job. You guys lead the league in fouls
Yeah.
and have the highest opponent free throw rate. Does that not a bad thing early on because maybe it speaks to a certain physical disposition?
Yeah.
And then at what point does it become
Right.
become an issue?
Right. I'm not ready to fully address that with the team because, that there is an element of that's the Miami Heat way, to establish a level of force and commitment defensively. And defensively, I really like, what the guys have brought to that side of the floor. It really starts with the commitment to the importance of it. And we have a lot of guys that really are two-way players and understand how important it is, to commit to details, to efforts, to toughness, to preparation. They see that it all matters. It's a small sample size, right now. So we'll see if we could continue. Just you tell me that end of the year, our defense is going to grade out like this, and we are fouling a lot still, I'll take that.
Eric, how big of a difference is it? I mean, it's like obvious of preparing for this team with a Kyrie or without a Kyrie.
Well, since it's early in the season and you haven't dealt with Irving, you're really just looking at it as a new team, new year. It's new for us. We have a lot of different guys on our team. The 2 that they still have there are a handful enough for anybody on this planet. They distort and change and twist whatever game plan you have going into a game. They just make you toss that out, and then you have to go to plan B, plan C, plan D, and just have some level of competitiveness against those guys.
Do you see them adapting their games in any way without a Kyrie or playing any differently than they might normally with him?
Yeah, I think they're just brilliant basketball players. So they'll be able to adapt and adjust regardless. Harden has played with a lot of different styles and a lot of different ways, and he's still always, one of the most efficient offensive players in the league. And Durant can fit in literally any system in this league, and he's going to, put himself to be the best player on the floor, night in, night out.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, from Zoom, we have Wes Goldberg. Go ahead.
Eric, on one hand, you guys are limiting opponents to 27% from three-point range. On the other, you guys are giving up 41 threes per game. You can kind of read into that either way.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just asking what are your thoughts on the three-point defense so far?
Yeah, it was similar last year as well. And I'll be honest, we haven't totally wrapped our mind around it. We're working on it. I don't love giving up that many threes. You can't take away everything. This game is different than it was 5, 6, 7 years ago. And we're still trying to figure it out. I think every team is trying to figure this out. You want to build a reliable, stable, disruptive defense that you can count on night in, night out. We have things that, we're trying to accomplish, that we're doing pretty well. That's something that's on my radar. And that played out virtually the whole year last year. Our percentage defense was pretty good, three-point defense, but we gave up a ton of threes. It makes the head coach extremely uncomfortable when those are launching up there. But a lot of the other things that we do are grading out pretty good. So it's still too early. The sample size is too small, and we'll just have to see how that plays out.
All right, Coach, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right, that was Eric Spoelstra. That's from today, a couple of minutes ago, maybe about a half an hour ago, before this matchup between the Miami Heat and the Brooklyn Nets. For all of you that are just getting here to the 5 Reasons YouTube channel, the starting lineup is going to be the same one as they used against the Orlando Magic and against the Milwaukee Bucks. You have Bam Adebayo, PJ Tucker, Jimmy Butler, Duncan Robinson, and Kyle Lowry. Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, and PJ Tucker, the starting 5 for the Miami Heat tonight. Thank you very much for joining the pregame show. We're going to be back at halftime with our pace and spaces with our crew, 5 Reasons. So make sure you check that out on Twitter, pace and spaces. As soon as the second quarter is over, we're going to be doing that live on Twitter Spaces. And after the game, we're also going to be going live, but here on the YouTube channel with the post-up show hosted by our friend Royal Shepherd. So thank you very much for joining the pregame show, and we will see you sometime soon here back again in the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. Have a good one.